Today I'm going to show you how you can set up a custom comment section within your Wix blog that doesn't require prior registration or even validation. What's up, you guys? Thanks for tuning in with your boy Nino, and I got a tutorial today for you guys on how you can set up a custom comment section that doesn't require prior registration and doesn't have validation on it. So easily anybody can freely put down any comments that they have about your blog. All right, and it's as simple as a few lines of code and a simple importing tool. Okay, so I just wanted to say thanks for tuning in again, and also if you haven't looked at any of my latest blog videos, then you should definitely go ahead and check them out in the right hand corner as I speak right now. And that is my latest one that I had prior to this video, so go ahead guys and check that out. I'm gonna have some other ones come up in the video, and so just stay tuned for that. But this is a addition to my blog, Wix blog series, okay? And right now I have shown you guys how to create your own blog landing page, how to create your own blog post page, and how to create your own sidebars, okay? Like I said before in my last video, I'm going to talk about the search bar, okay, and how to search your Wix blogs, but I'm gonna do that for another video. Right now I just want to get into the comments because I think this is very valuable information that you guys need to know about. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So as you can see, I already have my whole setup from prior videos here. So these are just prior video setup, all right? But I actually have this new leave a comment section, okay? This you may also like. I will actually show into another video, but as of right now, I'm just gonna focus on the comments. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, guys. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up my comment section, and as I said before in my last video and other videos before that I've done on Wix Code, or known as Corvid, the way that you get to this whole setup is if you go to dev mode and then you press turn on dev mode, okay? And then you can definitely get started and you'll see the whole setup that I have right here. Okay, so I easily just created a box here, and then I made a multi-state box. This is the reason why I made a multi-state box, and I'll give you a little like snippet of what I'm going to do in the future, and that is that I'm going to show you a video right now on how to just post a comment, okay, without having any validations on it, or even any okay, I kind of lied in that first in the first presentation. I actually am going to add a little validation, hence the I agree that my submitted data is being collected and stored. I think that's very important to have so that your visitors know that their comments are being stored and they are being collected, okay, in a database, just so that they know about that and before they submit the message. So I guess I'm going to put that type of validation on it before the send message shows up. All right, but other than that, there is no other validations. We're not collecting email addresses here. We're not collecting valuable information about that visitor who visited your site. So I think that we're just going to do it without prior registration. How about that? Okay, and that means registering to the site, and that means logging in or signing in to your website in order to post a comment. So this is without prior registration. So let's just go ahead and get that straight. All right, so now that we have this whole setup here, I actually have just an input right here. So this is just an input element, and then this is a text box element. All right, and then also a checkbox element. Just like I said before, I'm going to add that validation into the code. All right. So what we want to do here is actually go down here to open so that we can open up our Wix code. All right. Now what I want to do here is I want to rename this. All right. And I'm going to name this this input selection right here. I'm going to name it name. So add name. All right. Now you guys can create this ID to support your own element naming structure, but as of right now, I'm just going to add this little name here for this ID just to suit my needs right now. So I'm gonna change this to add message. All right, so we can just have some consistency with our naming convention. Okay, we're going to say that this is I'm just going to keep it as checkbox. I don't have to keep it as checkbox 1, so I'm just going to keep it as checkbox, and then I'm going to say submit button. Okay, so now that I have my variables here and labeled, well, excuse me, my elements here and labeled, now I actually have a repeater here. Okay, this repeater will actually be populating what I put into the database. Okay, and this is what it's going to receive based upon each post. Okay, because this database is based on each post. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to name this name. Okay, and then here I'm going to say that this is a date. All right, and then here I'm going to say comment. All right, seems simple enough, right? So now that I have that information here, let's go ahead and get started with the code. All right, so as you can see, I have a repeater 5 here. I can actually just say, just to make it a lot simpler, comments repeater. Okay, and that's just to make things a lot simpler to read and to know where things are at. Okay, I think it's best to have a naming convention if you choose to do so. All right, so now let's go ahead and get started with the comment section. I'm going to bring this up a tad bit, and then I'm going to start with my code. All right, so here we go. So I already have import Wix data here, so I don't actually need to put that in here, but as you can see, you need to have this. All right, in order to do an insert or a query on any type of collection, you would need to have this here in order to use Wix APIs. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. In my previous code that I had here from my other tutorials, I'm just going to go ahead and start at the top. Okay, but just wanted to see where I could fit this in. I might just go ahead and just fit it in here. All right, so I'm just going to give myself some space real quick. All right, so now that we see this here, okay, what we want to do is wherever we're actually putting in this fresh state here, what we want to do is find that. Okay, so what is this fresh state doing? So this fresh state is doing is grabbing the post information. All right, so I need to go ahead down to fresh state, and then where I see get post at, and I have my async values here. What I want to do here is I want to collect information. All right, so first I want to create a alias expression named current post. Okay, and so what I'm going to do with current post is I'm going to grab all of that information and hold it there for other functions of mine that I will place in here to gather that information on that particular post that is showing up right now. All right, so as I got that, I'm gonna go ahead and put in this section here. I'm going to put in load comments. Okay, so after I load my info, what I want to do is I want to load the comments. All right, so I'm going to say load comments. All right, simple as enough. Now the reason why this is showing up is because it's not defined. All right, it's showing up a bug, an error, because it's not defined in an upper scope or even in this scope right here. So what I'm going to do here in this big open area, I'm going to create an async function that will be called load comments. All right, so let's go ahead and get that started. All right, now that the error has went away, as you can see, I have load comments. Now just give me one quick second. I'm going to go ahead and add some more information to this. So what I'm doing here is I'm making a constant JSON to grab all of the items and put it into post comments. Okay, and this post comments will then be pushed into our repeater. Okay, and this information is valuable to load into our repeater. All right, so once we get that, what we want to do is, I actually forgot to put in something that's really important in order to even make this load comments work, is that I don't have the current post connected in here. So what I want to do here is, after I say load info, I want to go ahead and say current post is equal to my results. Okay, so that will be the post results. All right, once I get that equal to that, then I can work off of that in order to put it into this query that is going to post comments data. Okay, post comments data is another data set that they don't show you because of reasons that I may not know, but I know that there's a data set that's called post comments data, and that is connected to this post right here, this post database. All right, so whatever post is showing on the website, it's going to go ahead and find all of the comments that are connected with that post. All right, so I want you guys to note here that this is putting information into the data, into the repeater. Now, if there is no information to put into the repeater, we need to know that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead here and put an if else statement. All right, so if there is some type of post comments, all right, then we want to put that information inside of that repeater. All right, and then also I have here my repeater is actually collapsed. As you can see right here, if I click off of it, it has actually collapsed. All right, so what I want to do here is I want to go ahead and expand it. Now, if post comments come back null, or as I say null, I mean if it doesn't come back with any information, then what I need to do here is keep that comments repeater collapsed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add that in here. All right, perfect, great. Now that we have everything set up, what we want to do here is make sure that we gather this data and post it exactly into the repeater. Check, that's the first thing. Now what we want to do is, once the data gets into the repeater, where does it go? Okay, and we need to actually share with the repeater what it will do with that data. So what I want you guys to do is, I want you guys to close this or minimize it. Go over to your repeater, click on your repeater, and click on onItemReady. Excuse me, onItemReady. Once that shows up, I just pressed enter, and it shows up here at the bottom of my screen. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this, all right, Control X, and I'm going to place it up here where my code is, just so that I know that everything is in the same area, all right? And just give me a second, I'm going to add some more information. All right, so as you can see here, I am telling the repeater where this information is going. So for right here, I have name, and this is going to get item data.username. All right, now if this name here doesn't have anything that, say for instance, someone just wants to anonymously put their information into your data set. Well, what we need to do is create ternary conditional operator, okay? And what I mean by that is if-else statement one-liner, okay? Conditional statement. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and say, if we find an item that has information in it, we're going to go ahead and put that down, all right? So item.username. Now, if it's false, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and put anonymous, just so that people will know that it's an anonymous person and somebody just submitted it anonymously. Oh, and we don't know who that would be. All right, so as you can see there, we have anonymous. All right, and then we just put a semicolon at the end. Now, this actually goes the same for the comment section, okay? If there is a comment in it, then we want to put it in there. But say for instance, there is no comment, all right? Somebody just puts a blank, and we're just like, what does this really mean? Did they just want to put their name there or what have you? So what we want to do here is create an if-else statement. So we're going to say if-else, and we're going to say if item data.comment is there, then what we want to do here is we want to place that in the comment section, all right? But say for instance, somebody else doesn't put anything there. Well, we need to go ahead and not display that information. So what I mean by this is, guys, is that we're going to go ahead and just take that record out. And the easiest way to do that here, guys, is actually just to go ahead and look at the container and just collapse that container, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna right click on here, and we're going to go ahead to overlap items. As we can see, there is the container right here. So what we want to do here is we want to click container. We see that is labeled container 6 for the ID. So we'll go here to container 6, and we're going to go ahead and just say collapse.collapse. All right, and if the comment shows here and we refresh the page or something like that, and we notice that the container is not showing up, we want to assure that that container will show up, and we're going to expand it. All right, just as we did here for our repeater data. All right, so now that we have that in place, what we need to do now is focus on putting this information into our database. All right, so let's go ahead and head over to that. So I'm going to go ahead here and put in place our validation. All right, so right now what I wanted to do here is I'm going to click here and I'm going to add a function called validation. And what this validation will do, now I will be specific. I'm going to say comments validation, because maybe we will have validations in the future that we will use. So we just want to make sure that comments validation is specifically just for comments. Okay. All right. So what we want to do here is we just want to make sure that this checkbox here is checked. Okay. So what we want to do here is we want to do an if else statement. And it's just easy as this. We're going to go ahead and see where that checkbox is. So checkbox, and we're going to see if it is or if it isn't checked. All right. So we're going to say dot checked, and that will give us a Boolean if it's true or false. All right. So if this value is true, then we'll just do just that. Okay. Now, if this value is false and we make it true, then that means nothing will display. All right. So what we want to do here is actually, I have the submit button, and it is actually right now by default disabled. All right. So what I want to do here is I want to say when this gets checked, and we're going to check comments validation easily by doing an onChange event for our checkbox. All right. But right now, what we want to do here is we want to add this comments validation. All right. And so once the checkbox comes back and it is true, we're going to go ahead and say that this is enabled. All right. Now, if the checkbox comes back and it's false, we're going to go ahead and disable that. This is to assure that everybody knows that they have read that disclaimer right there saying that they agreed to importing their information. All right, so now that we got that all figured out for the validation, what we want to do here is set up the submission onClick event. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and I'm going to go to my onClick parameter, and I'm going to go ahead and press enter. This will put it down at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to go ahead and do it like I said before, Control X, and put it up here at the top. Once I have the submit button onClick event here, now I'm going to go ahead and put in my code. Give me just 1 second. All right, so now that I have my comments section here, and actually the way that it's going to be imported into my post comments data set, I want to go ahead and review over with you guys on how I put that stuff in. All right, so here I actually have a comment success vector. I'm actually going to go ahead and find that real quick and then plop that in so that our visitors know that their message has been saved successfully. All right, so now that I have my vector art here, I'm going to go ahead and automatically hide that on load. All right, so that it won't show. Okay, so right here what I have is I have a JSON here, and this object will be pushed into our insert parameter here, where it's actually inserting this new comment into the post comments data set. Okay, and then on completion of that insert, what is going to happen is we're going to go ahead and show that comment success vector, and then also what we're going to do is load comments and then null out everything that they had put in via here. And then also what we cannot forget is that we're going to null out this checkbox as well. So what we're going to do here is go ahead and say for checkbox, we want to have the check value to be false. All right, so these are the parameters that you need to have right now. And if you guys want to know if something went wrong and want to catch an error or something like that, I always highly advise you guys to put that error message here so that you know exactly what is causing that error. So I just do a little console log, and I put the error message there just to know what the error is if we have any. Okay, so as we finish with that, I want to actually stress this enough is that actually when that comment vector shows, we want to actually go ahead and set a timeout so that that can clear out, okay, so that we won't see that vector anymore. So what we want to do is a .then parameter, and on this .then we're going to do, after it completes showing, we're going to wait actually about 2 to 3 seconds before we hide it again. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a set timeout, and we're going to go ahead and set that timeout to go ahead and hide that vector. And like I said, I'm going to do 2 to 3 seconds, so I guess I'll do 2.5 seconds. All right, so that's 2.5 seconds. So after we have figured that out, I think that everything is good to go for our parameter validation and no prior registration comment section. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. I think everything looks good. Oh, just wanted to let you guys know that this here, we're getting the created date, but then this is actually taking the date and it's converting that into a string that will show us, based upon your country code, the way that your country's standard way of showing their dates, it will show up that way. All right, and that's why I put the NUS. All right, but if you're in other different types of countries, you should definitely look into that. All right, and see what your code is. As I did before, I definitely forgot one other thing, and that is the on change effect for this agree button. So let's go ahead back into our editor and let's go ahead and create that. So go over here and we're going to go to on change, and then we're going to click enter. We're going to go ahead and Control X and bring that information up, cut that out, and bring that information back up to our comments section. All right, and what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and say comments validation. All right, this will check to see if everything is validated through that comment. All right, so now that we put that code into place, I actually have to create the database. All right, so let's go ahead and create the database. We're going to go ahead and create a new collection. All right, and in this database we're going to have the username, comments, and then that is about it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create this, and we're going to say post comments data. Okay, so as you can see, this will be site content, and this will be available for people to see. So we'll create the collection. Then in this collection, as I said in previous tutorials before, I'm going to actually do a newer one about collections because there are new things that has happened since my last video. But if you guys want to check out that video just to know about how collection storage is all about for Wix, go ahead and check that in the right hand corner as I speak right now. But I will actually be uploading new videos on the collections and give you more up-to-date information on how you can navigate through these collections, Wix collections, and it's very informational. Okay, so I guess, you know, soak it all up, you learners out there. This is really good information to know. All right, so what I want to do here is I want to go ahead to my properties. I see that this is a title. So what I'm going to go ahead is add a new field, and I'm going to name this field name. All right, and so that will be my field name. And if you want to actually put this as a personally identifiable information, you guys can go ahead and encrypt that information, okay? So go ahead and do that. I'm going to click save here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this name my primary, all right? And then I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the title because I don't really need it. All right. So now I'm going to add a new field, and this field will be called comment. And I'm just going to click save, and then that is about it, okay? So now that we have all that information here, what I want to do is I want to go back to my post page code and just check to see if my parameters are matching up with the key IDs. All right, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to see that this says username. So I'm just going to go ahead and put name because that's what I put in there as my field key. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and change this as well up here to just name, because again, I only named it name in my database. All right, so I think everything is set and ready to go. All right, so we're just gonna head and minimize this, and we're gonna click save to save our information, and then click preview. All right, as you can see, my information has shown up here. And then also I see that I have a leave a comment section. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my information in, and I'm just going to put it test, okay? For all the developers out there, everybody knows that hello world is just something that is standard across the board, and it's pretty cool to have and pretty cool to know about when you're testing code. So kudos to the coding masters that taught us everything about that. But yeah, so anyways, what I have here is I cannot submit a message unless I agree to this agreement. So I'm going to go ahead and click the checkbox mark, and you can actually see that it went through my comments validation. All right, so now what I want to do here is I want to click send message. And now that message has been saved, okay? So as you can see here, my message test and hello world has been added. And that is it, you guys. That is all you guys need to know about. All right, and that's how you can put in a comment without any prior registration to it. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Definitely give it a shot. And if you guys have any questions, drop it below. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. And if you like this video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you in the next video, okay guys? Ciao.